100.5, 1450, WGNSSports.com, and BigGTV.
The Coaches Show on WGNS Murfreesboro, Smyrna, and BigGTV, brought to you in part by Rick's Barbecue, serving up the best smoked barbecue ribs and many local favorites on Warrior Drive, locally operated by Anne-Marie Brentz and the Lanning family. Time to talk some Oakland football this morning. Kevin Creasy, the head coach of the Patriots, joins us after a road trip to Laverne. And, Coach, congrats on the 56-0 victory last night.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You go through games like that. Hopefully everybody comes out healthy. I know you played a ton of kids last night.
Yeah, we're able to get a bunch of guys on the field and, had a really good first quarter and got a lead and was able to some guys that hadn't got to play a lot. And then next thing you know, it was on to the next week. And like I said, left there relatively healthy, and it was a good way to kind of knock the rust off after a bye week and fall break and all that stuff.
Well, talk a little bit about knocking the rust off. I mean, you do have a week, and how did you handle fall break, and how did you think your kids responded coming back after that?
Yeah, we had two of the best practices we had all year during fall break. It was kind of one of those deals where we kind of worked on Oakland. Oakland worked on Oakland, and we got better, special teams wise, offensively, defensively, kind of went back to the basics a little bit, and had good competition in those two practices. And I think we saw a lot of the results of that last night.
And you saw some of those kids who typically aren't starters that probably were, in those one-on-one situations and came in to try to show you something last night, because their games are more haggard. We see Justice quite a bit, but several players that maybe you don't see that show up as stat stars.
Absolutely. We got some young backs in. There were, probably 8 or 9 different people touched the ball, and had about 4 or 5 different receivers passes. And like I said, it was one of those deals where, Haggard had 4 or 5 carries, had a catch out of the backfield. I think Tut, I don't even think Tut even ran the ball. I think we threw him a pass, and, it wasn't completed. So at the end of the day, those older guys, they kind of knew going into it that we were, going to only have a quarter or two to play with, some of our varsity guys. Let the younger guys play. I've been here 11 years. We've never had a JV game with Laverne, so it was one of those deals where the younger guys got a chance to go to Laverne, which we hadn't been to Laverne since I've been here, and play and get some younger guys in. And to Laverne's credit, I think Coach Johnson's got those guys playing hard. And, they kept fighting all the way to the end and played hard the whole time, and that's a testament to the coaching staff over there.
Kevin Creasy with us, Oakland football, SRM Concrete solid performer from last night. I wanted to talk a little bit about Joel Wyatt. We talk about him quite a bit, but just what he brings to you defensively, it shouldn't be overshadowed, because maybe the best part about his game overall, 4 tackles, forced a fumble, had a 13-yard touchdown return, and also blocked a kick. I mean, that's a pretty full night's work on defense.
Yeah, he's just a freak athlete, just very athletic and long, and if you were to design a football player, you'd probably design him much like Joel. He does a heck of a job for us. Flipped around on offense, caught a couple passes, had some really good blocks, played special teams really well. He was part of a 7-play series where we scored 3 touchdowns in 7 plays. So, it was a pretty close game early on, and then because of Joel, we had a punt return set up. We were going to let those guys kick it and see if we could set up a return, something we worked on in fall break. And, but because Rockville, ran a 4th and 16 fake punt, we still send a guy off the edge. Well, next thing you know, Joel's blocked the punt. We returned it for a touchdown. We kick off, and right after that, he strips the guy on the kickoff and runs it in for a touchdown. So the game kind of got lopsided real quick, and Joel was a huge part of that.
And I said Joel. I knew it was Joel, and just wasn't thinking. But it looks like Joel. I'm sure he gets called that all the time. So.
Oh yeah.
Kevin, you go through a game like that, and I'm sure you don't know how many kids you got into that contest, but it had to be a ton. What do you want to accomplish? Because you probably going in knew that you were going to be able to outman Laverne last night. You want to make sure that you work on some things. What are some of the things that you wanted to work on here as we get winding down the regular season and playoffs on the horizon?
Yeah, their offense sometimes real unconventional, and our guys, they had to rely on kind of, their rules and their checks, and I thought they made some great checks and, benefited from playing good, sound defense. Chevy Armour had a scoop and score and a pick six. He's an outside linebacker for us that's playing great right now. And then offensively, we've got Michael Brown, which is really one of our best football players. He's tweaked his ankle, so we knew he was going to be out this week and next week. Hopefully we'll get him back week 10. And so we had a couple guys replace one of our better players, and we want to see how those young guys did. Trent Gibbs is just a freshman, and he stepped up and filling the shoes of a senior like Brown is a tough job, but Trent's the guy for the job, and he showed that last night. He did really good. We're really proud of the progress of our two freshmen that are starting. And, you look at Preston Rose, he had to move around a little bit, played guard, tackle, tight end, even split him out a couple times at receiver. So just trying to see the versatility of some of the guys that, are really comfortable in our offense. And I think the sky's the limit for some of those younger guys like Rose and Trent that have done a good job for us.
On the defensive side of the ball, Travion Jackson led the team with 7 tackles, 2.5 for loss, and Cullen Williams 5 tackles, 2 for loss, had a sack as well in the game last night. And that was your last road game here for a minute, at least the last 2 games of the regular season, as you've got Stewart's Creek and then the Battle of the Borough next week. Stewart's Creek, they've got your full attention. You're not looking ahead, looking past anybody here, I wouldn't think.
Right, region games are all equally worth the same. So last night's game was the most important game of the year, and then I thought our guys responded to that well. And then coming up, Stewart's Creek is the most important game of the year because it's a region game and it's the next game. And then, of course, week 10's week 10. We got plenty of time to worry about week 10. That's with Riverdale and the Battle of the Pro and playing, on a Thursday night and finishing the regular season. But this season's just kind of flown by. That's what we try to tell our guys. You put in all this work, you don't know how many minutes you got, guaranteed in a particular ball game, but the next ball game is the next ball game. And you've done all this work, you might as well go out there and just play your guts out. Hopefully that's the message that all our guys got. With the injuries in football, it's a little different. Most sports, you can get injured on any play, so you never know when your season may be over or your career may be over. So you better go out there and get the most out of all that time you put in. And, I think that's why our guys, rarely come out flat. I think they understand the value of playing time and the value of, a game like last night or a game at home against Stewart's Creek. It's going to be senior night. We got to see Laverne's senior night last night, and I thought our guys didn't miss a beat by warming up on the practice field and coming over and playing a game. And so we're going to honor our seniors next Friday. So I encourage all the Oakland fans that have been on this ride with this senior class to come on out and support these guys.
And from what I hear, pretty good crowd on your side from last night. Yeah, you mentioned about kids and not knowing what's going to happen. I mean, we saw it last night. There was kicker had to come out of the game because didn't have his knees covered and whatnot, and bring in the backup, and then he's out and hurt after coming in for one play. So I mean, you just never know. And I guess you preach that to your kids, that you're not given the next game or the next play even. So cherish those opportunities.
Yeah, and with that being said, it wasn't just young linemen and young backs and young receivers getting in. It was young defensive backs. It was young defensive linemen. It was all three of our kickers got to kick. So it was, like I said, a big night for all of them to get some playing time under the Friday night lights. That's a whole lot different than playing, on Monday nights. And so we were excited to get those guys in. And then speaking of Monday nights, there's a big ball game coming up Monday night at Riverdale. It's the freshman county championship, and
oh, nice.
I think our guys, are fired up to be playing in that. We're a little bit of an underdog. I think we already have lost to Riverdale once, but for our freshmen to be playing in the county championship for how many ever years they've been doing it, they've been in it every year, and this bunch is a bunch of overachievers. Proud of those guys. Looking forward to them playing Monday night.
So that's at Riverdale on Monday night?
Yep, at Riverdale, 6 o'clock. Two good freshman teams battling it out for the county championship.
All right, the Battle of the Borough freshman style coming up.
That's right.
All right. Well, Coach, appreciate you spending some time with us this morning, and we will see you next Saturday morning here on the show.
Yep, sounds good.
All right. Kevin Creasy joining us here today on the Coach's Show, brought to you by the law offices of John Day, providing superior legal representation to injury victims and their families. Find out more at johndaylegal.com.